Hey guys, thanks for another video here at All I See is W. In today's video, I'd like to cover all of the news around Bitcoin. We saw so much uncertainty where last Friday during the stock market, Bitcoin price went from like 99,000, dropped down to 95,000. Along with the stock market, a lot of the Mag 7 stocks, mid cap, small cap stocks, we're all in the red, but it'll be interesting to see, especially with earnings report coming out next week. Starting on Monday, I think we're going to see some nice gains, especially in the stock market and in the crypto space. Now, most of you are wondering what's going on here. Are we going to see, strategy MSTR actually make a bull run? We'll cover all of those details. But just recently, with all of the fear uncertainty going on, especially with the recent news with Bybit hack, it was over $1 billion hack. North Koreans were able to crack the code when it comes to tapping into the cold wallet with the Ethereum network, and this has really caused, Bybit to start buying up more Ethereum just to make up for all of the coins that were lost. But it's interesting now that we're hearing, can quantum computing crack the code with Bitcoin? All of that is just FUD news. I really don't think that we could reverse engineer the design of Bitcoin going from like public keys tapping into private keys. That's highly impossible. I'll say 99.9% chance, similar to like your cleaning sprays where it's not 100%, but it's 99.9% killing all the bacteria and viruses. But overall, Bitcoin is here to stay. I think that we're eventually going to see the next gap up. What we're seeing now is just a lot of investors in Bitcoin, the crypto space, and even in the stock market are just bored right now. But I think that this is a really good sign, healthy consolidation, similar to Bitcoin hovering back in 2024 when it was hovering in that 70,000 range for quite some time for over 6 months. And then boom, next leg up where we are right now, 3.5 months, healthy consolidation. Boom, we're going to see a next gap up here. So there's my take. I think that Bitcoin is here to stay, especially with strategic Bitcoin reserve. We're going to see that next gap up into that 130,000, and I'm forecasting somewhere around 200,000 with the price of Bitcoin. And what does that mean for like strategy? There's so much potential, but let's dive deep here. So we're looking at the actual technicals of Bitcoin. So what we're seeing here, we saw that big drop off, on the Friday trading time. It had a big market reaction with the stock market due to weaker signs of the economy as well as tariffs kicking in. And, over the course, over the weekend, we've been seeing some nice consolidation here up until Sunday. We saw this, this slight dip here of 95,000. We're beginning to see some nice movements. It actually got back up to 96,000 current state. It's hovering right around that $96,000, but it'll be interesting. I think that as we get into the Monday stock market opening, Bitcoin, I think, is going to start running back up here. And that's really going to cause more volume inflows, price action. But let's just take a look at just updates with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So really the theme now is orange is a new black. If you're a state that's not orange, you're going to be left behind. So even California here, even though it's black, we've heard, the retirement fund states, they're buying up MSTR stocks. Why? Because they have belief that MSTR is the ultimate leverage to Bitcoin, as well as even other states buying up Bitcoin ETFs such as Ibit. So there's different leverage plays that a lot of these states are using right now. But once we hear more about a state getting, approval, so here, let's say, for example, if Utah gets through that, approval phase along with like Arizona and Texas, I think that's really going to drive up the price of Bitcoin, causing all of these states like Montana, North Dakota, Pennsylvania to resubmit and get back into that action after, not having it pass the first committee review. But I think with a matter of time, whether that's going to be March, we're expected to hear the very first state to get official approval to start buying up Bitcoin. Let's take a look at this posting from Michael Saylor today. So his comment, I don't think this reflects what I got done last week. So very interesting. I love the transparency from Michael Saylor here. Just the dots are just covering all the blue lines, but who knows? Are we gonna hear, come tomorrow that MSTR strategy, they hold over 500,000 Bitcoin, or if you will, should I say, more than 500,000 Bitcoins on their Bitcoin treasury based on what they were able to acquire with their convertible note of over $2 billion. It'll be interesting to see whether the total Bitcoin holdings here, whether, with February 24th, whether we're going to see that, hover around that 500,000 in total Bitcoin holdings. But as you look here, just back during the COVID timeframe, 70,000 HODL here buying Bitcoin at like $10,000. It doesn't matter what the price is. You see 2021, we see it get beyond that 100,000. With the second biggest company right now, not even close to like 50,000. But since 2021, 4 years ago, MSTR already broke through that 100,000 Bitcoins on their treasury. Of course, it'll only get more difficult to have, 100,000 compared to 500,000. But strategy, Bitcoin, they have created this big time disparity. And this is really going to, you know, drive up their market capitalization in the near term, getting to $1 trillion, and then start bypassing all of the Mag 7s and then become a multi-trillion-dollar company. And can you just imagine what the share price will be as the MNAV increases based on the total Bitcoin holdings here? Let's take a look at this posting here. So 21,750 Bitcoin buy will be announced Monday to bring us to exactly 500,000 Bitcoin. So this is a posting about, 7 hours ago. Of course, we don't know if this is factual here, but it's highly probable that this can happen and that MSTR reaches a new milestone, getting beyond that 500,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Let's take a look at this posting here. So, MSTR price action on daily channel. What has been unburdened and what's next? Zoom out and study. Measured moves. Ignore 500 spike. It's not realistic. As a more deeper dive to the visual here. So, of course, we saw that run up back in November of 550, and we're seeing that, that accumulation here with lower lows here. But I think that as we're, getting more towards that time point here, we're going to start seeing that climb up to $1,200 as the price of Bitcoin starts breaking through 130,000 to 200,000, in this Bitcoin bull cycle. We're still in that accumulation phase with Bitcoin, and it hasn't really broken out with relative strength index of like 80 plus RSI. So not out of the woods yet. But with that recent top of 550, there's some profit taking here. We're seeing some pullback correction, but it's only going to trend higher. You see here with the yellow EMA here. It'll be interesting to see whether we're going to see some crossing between the 100 and the 50 EMA. But I think that at one point we're going to see this run back up here as price of Bitcoin starts going up. So here's another visual of my drawing here, just given the fact that we're in this, this pennant bull flag over some time here. And at one point, we're going to just see that run up. I do think that MSTR is definitely undervalued right now, at the sub $300. At any point in time now, whether it's tomorrow, we could potentially see like a 5% gain or even more, especially with MSTR, dropping from its high point of 550, now 299. Definitely undervalued before that next gap up. Possibly in April, we may very well see it, break through that 550, 750 barrier. But as we head towards, the later phase of 2025, I could very well see that 1200 be the price point with 4x potential with where we are right now. So with that, I want to transition over and play a Michael Saylor clip.
Like worth 3 billion 12 years ago, and it went to 600 billion. If you ask me, Apple Computer is going to $2,000 a share, right? I mean, I'd be very, very long that company. Whoever's selling that stock must be a moron, right? I mean, this is a company that's going to actually have 4 billion devices out there. If they roll them over once every 4 years, they're going to sell 1 billion devices a year. And the thing that people they don't get, right? You either get it, you don't get it. I'm going to come back to your PC question. I don't know a lot about PCs. I bought 10,000, 20,000 PCs in my life. I got 3,000 sitting underneath my desks. You put a Dell computer underneath the desk, you don't care that it's loud and it's hot and it's a power hog and it's ugly and it's heavy and it's like an ugly beige cabinet with screws showing. You don't give a crap. You just want it to be $400 or $500. Okay. You put a phone in your pocket and you sleep on it or next to it. You care whether it's hot. You care what it looks like. You care the battery life. You care about the radio. This is an iPhone 5. This runs 10 times faster than an iPhone 4. There's not an 8-year-old on the planet that doesn't want an iPhone 5. Right? Who wants to wait 42 seconds to watch something download instead of 2 seconds? Nobody. Right? You don't have to be a genius to run an Apple computer. You just have to every year make the product a bit lighter, a bit more elegant, make it a better radio, make it a better battery. And then I sat with, one of the 10 richest guys in the world for dinner 5 nights ago. And we had dinner for 4 hours and he did half the talking. I did half the talking. And he's much more successful than I am. I understand that, by the way. As I said, it's like, sometimes you got to do other things than just have opinions to make money, right? There's a lot of execution involved in the rest, but I have opinions. So he said to me, Apple Computer, can these guys hold their prices? Aren't they going to follow the model of the PC industry? And aren't their prices going to taper down? Their 40% margins going to become 30 and 35 and 20. And it's another example of people just know enough to hurt themselves, right? If you're going to know a subject, you better know the subject because being like a dilettante and knowing part of the subject is just enough to hurt yourself somehow. And I said, no, they gross margins don't have to tailor down. I mean, if you go to France, and this is the benefit of seeing enough, you go to France to see Bernardo Arnault runs a company, LVMH. They're selling handbags for $4,000, $3,000, $2,500 each. This is a device that women view as fashion, and it's 10,000 years old. And for 10,000 years, no, the prices are not lower after 10,000 years. If you actually care about this thing, how many women have $300 pair of shoes? How many have 2? How many have more than 2? Right? The truth of the matter is when the technology goes from being a utilitarian vocational brick that I put under my desk, no one gives a crap about that, to being a piece of clothing, right? A fashion statement, extension of your personality, a piece of jewelry. And iPhones, iPads, they're somewhere between clothing and jewelry and accessory. At that point, they can hold that price point forever. They can basically sell you another $500 device every 2 years forever because everybody's got 5, and that the first billion people have got that, and the rest of the world's getting elevated up. So I think that you're going to see you'll see a wider diversity of offerings. You'll see there will be cheaper tablets, and the $100 tablet will go to Pakistan and the 700 million peasants of China, and more power to them. That means those 700 million peasants are going to get a college education and get a master's of computer science, and I'll probably be hiring 20,000 of them, and I'll pay them 5,000 a year, which will be 5 times more than 1,000 a year, and then I'll pay them 10,000 a year, and the entire society will go from 2 billion to 3 billion to 5 billion white collar workers. And as their discretionary income increases, they're going to buy more and more expensive things. And anybody sitting in the middle of that, controlling the software application networks that have all the asset value in them, those companies are going to benefit in a marvelous fashion.
So there you have it. We heard from the GOAT, Michael Saylor. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Please leave your comments and questions down below. I go through every comment. Just let me know what your thoughts are. If there is anything that you'd like to see, any ways for me to improve. But, really appreciate you guys all stopping by here to support this channel. Thanks again, guys.